Lights up bright, dope, Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State where champions run. Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole sideline 365.
Welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. My name is KB, and with me, as always, is the old man. We got a show for you tonight. Try to keep it quick and compact. Obviously, it is New Year's Eve, so we'll let you guys get out of here so you can go do your thing. You also got college football on tonight with the playoffs and Miami, which should be a good game with Ohio State. But yeah, we wanted to get with you and talk with you about some recent updates. Obviously, the transfer portal opens up on the 2nd. So there's a lot of news up until that deadline, and then things really officially open up, even though it feels like it's already officially opened up. But yeah, we wanted to get your thoughts and discussion. So if you're watching this live with us right now, or you're watching it after the recording and watching this post, let us know your comments. Who are you surprised by jumping the portal? Do you think it's a loss? Because we're going to talk about the loss of a few offensive linemen. We're going to talk about the potential retention of a key defensive back in Jabril Rawls and how that could impact. And let us know what you think of that impact and what that contract could look like. We'll never know the real numbers behind that, but do you think that was a big retention point, or should they have shopped that around and went for somebody else? And then we'll talk about a big coaching change that I think we're discussing on our last show, and I think I called it correctly, that they're looking for him to potentially find a new job, and that's happened with Papuchis. So we'll talk about all these things and more, and let us know in the chat if there's something else that you'd like us to bring up as we're going through these topics and more. But yeah, I say we go right into that, unless there's something you want to dig into and dive into before we get started with that agenda.
Of course. I always have a little something extra, KB. We got to take care of a family matter. Let's take care of a very important family member here, and it is Spartan Knoll 71. Aloha, all the way from Hawaii, 54 years young. He's joining us on his birthday on New Year's. Come on. That's so great news. Great news. 2 pieces of great news is a gift for sure. Maybe he's talking about Rawls. Maybe he's talking about Rawls coming back to the Noles and his birthday. Maybe not. I think he's in Hawaii, and he's maybe listening all the way from Hawaii. Hey, happy birthday to you, Spartan Knoll. And everybody out there, wish him on the comments. Drop some comments in there. Now, the second business tonight. Which one do I use tonight? Do I go? You're supposed to be an expert in this. What is that? The Woodford Reserve Special Bourbon? Do I go with this? Okay. That's one choice.
Show me the other one. Okay.
And then the other choice is for celebrating New Year's, the Yingling Flight. Yingling Flight.
Well,
what do you think?
Comparing two of not similar things, so I can't even make that decision for you. So
you can't. Well, I'm going to make the decision. I'm like Mike Norvell, makes decisions. 4th down, go for it. I'm going for the Yingling Light.
Would you prefer a premium bourbon or a light beer? I don't know. You choose. Those are the worst choices in the world to compare.
Hey, fans, put down your choice beverage on New Year's Eve. Whatever you take, not one of these two. You could say which one we should, but what is your choice of beverage tonight? Put it in the comments. We're here, and comes with this special little hat. Look at this.
Of course it did, because that Yingling, whatever you bought, I've never even heard of before. But
check out
all right.
Okay.
Let's jump into what
boom.
we're here to do. All right, I think the biggest news, I think, for most fans, including me, including myself in that, was John Papuchis being another coach to depart. I think this was one we were like, what's happening here? He's departed from the FSU staff. I don't think this is surprising. We were waiting for that shoe to drop because our special teams were terrible, like abysmal. I think probably were one of the worst in the nation, between drop balls, from kick returns, missed field goals, everything. It was totally abysmal. But now
ball hitting players in the head on punts.
But now he's being picked up by Missouri as an assistant coach, and once again, you got to scratch your head. And I think it's funny where you see their media guys kind of packaging this and framing this as, look at how great John Papuchis is, and he's coached 3 special teams All-Americans, all-conference honorees, and Keon Coleman, James Rassenberry, the long snapper, Alex Mastromano, and Ryan Fitzgerald. He's a guru, they call him. So,
who said that? Missouri?
This writer from Missouri, the sports editor
for
the Missouri football.
Lord.
So once again, it's their job to frame these things as a good addition. Most of the comments are flaming him for this because of how bad. Once again, he coached not only special teams but also linebackers, and linebackers has not been a strong point of this team for most of the 6 years. You could say the 2023 team with Bethune and Kalen DeLoach and stuff like that was good. But it still wasn't an elite linebacking core. Those guys weren't, All-American type players.
A couple of those guys are in the NFL.
But they are, Bethune's in the NFL, I believe. And so, but linebacking has not been a strong suit for the tenure of Mike Norvell. And special teams outside of four guys, and I would say, Ryan Fitzgerald was probably the best kicker we've had in that tenure. And punting hasn't been bad, but this is all Papuchis can call to his name. And like I said, special teams was so atrocious this year. I believe it did lose us a couple of games. I think you have to go back and point to it, and that special teams directly led to some of those losses. And those were on the coach. So I think this is a win for Florida State, absolutely, because I don't think those units can get any worse, especially special teams. And I don't know what Mizzou is necessarily looking at here or what they're seeing, unless they're trying to get some type of inroads in recruiting and maybe the state of Florida, and they think John can provide that to them with, maybe he has connections with the high schools there, and they're just going to use him. So I don't know what his exact title will be there, but I know what his results are at Florida State. So, and once again, Missouri is not a SEC powerhouse. I think they were one of the couple of teams in the SEC that didn't beat a team with a winning record this year. I believe if someone can correct that for me, but I believe they were one of the SEC teams that did not beat a team with a winning record this year. And so, they're not a powerhouse. And once again, this is probably a transitional move for him. It's a good move for Florida State, and maybe he can turn things around while he's with Missouri. So that is a big move, and now we have to see who Florida State's going to be looking at to replace that. Now, do you internal hire for special teams? What do you do for linebackers? I'm hearing a couple of different things on that front for the linebacker side. Before I get into that, in terms of whom they may be targeting for the linebacking coach, do you have any thoughts on this move?
Yeah, what the hell did you send to Christian Lakowicz for his birthday? It says thank you for the birthday gift. You can address that at the end of the show. Yeah. I don't see it as, I go with what you're saying. I don't see Papuchis as a big loss. I mean, I think they frame this. I think Norvell goes to his coaches, and says, listen, we're not going to renew the contract. So why don't you go out there over the next 2-3 weeks, a month, find a new job, and then it looks good. You don't have to resign. It doesn't break as you didn't get a new contract, which looks like things didn't go well. It looks like you're moving on for additional opportunities. So that's how I would see this thing spun out by both sides on this. Papuchis had a difficult run here the last couple of years. Couldn't get punt returner. We couldn't settle in a punt returner of any sort. The special teams had issues, as all the fans know. So, and the linebackers were not elite. His recruiting of elite players on both sides, special teams and the linebackers, just didn't play out. So no big loss here. It'll be, who do they bring in? I expect they'll bring in maybe a younger guy, has a little bit less experience, but somebody aggressive, somebody who's got a pretty good record somewhere of how to run special teams. And I don't think the recruiting of such players is going to be a problem.
Yeah, so what seems to be happening with the linebacker side and what the initial reports are saying and what they're kind of saying on the message boards at 24/7, which I don't know, once again, what the connections are or what we can really take from those is that they may be looking at Ernie Sims internally, kind of an internal hire and keeping it a quick hire, quick promotion, and letting him take over the linebacker play.
Yeah.
So I think those are what, like I said, the initial reports seem to indicate is that they may be looking to keep it internal, quick transition, a guy that has worked Mike Norvell, worked with the defensive unit for the new defensive coach and Tony White for a year, kind of knows the system they're trying to run, who they want to recruit, has good ties high school wise in the state, knows the South, and it's a quick transition. So that's what I'm hearing so far.
Well, let's say Ernie Sims too. Ernie Sims had a great career at Florida State, which he was drafted in the NFL. I don't know what number he was drafted at. It didn't matter. He had a decent career in the NFL for several years. His best years were with Detroit. I believe they were the first ones to draft him. And Ernie Sims, a little undersized, but a very tough nut. That guy could crack you and crack you hard. And so a lot of respect to Ernie Sims. I'd like to see him get that promotion. And I think he would bring energy and enthusiasm and the recruiting piece to linebackers and special teams.
Yep. So, remember, he joined the staff, I believe, in 2024. So he's been with the team for a couple of years at least. Yeah, he joined in April of 2024.
But he was always like an assistant, a top assistant to Papuchis, right?
Yeah.
Because Papuchis was the linebacker coach, and Ernie Sims was an assistant under him.
He was a defensive analyst when he joined the staff, and I'm not sure what his promotions after that year, but he was acting as a defensive analyst. But like you said, he was an All-American at Florida State, number 9 overall pick in the draft. He knows how to run the position. He knows how to, and now that he has some coaching underneath him for a couple of years, I think this would be a smart hire, and probably something you can afford without having to go try to find an all-star coach on short notice. So yeah, I think that's a good hire. So
wait a minute. One comment here from Champ. Remember, Sims was fired at USF? I don't remember that at all. Do you? I'm not sure that's true.
Even if it is true,
it could be.
It doesn't matter. He's been with the team for 2 years now. It's all water under the bridge. He's been on the staff.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's an all-star coach. I like you were kind of saying. I think once again, this isn't trying. You just saw what they did with the quarterback position, Austin Tucker.
Yeah.
They're not going out and buying all-star coaches right now. They're going and trying to find quick transitional guys that have upside. And I think Ernie Sims would fit that mold. Guys who have been in the system for a couple of years, who potentially have high upside and know how they want to run things. They're not going out and hiring another Gus Malzahn as a positional coach. Or another Tony White as a positional coach. That's not happening.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, Champs, I don't know what you're referring to. I'm not sure he was the head linebacker coach at USF. I think he was just too inexperienced when he came out of the NFL to be the head linebacker coach at USF. I could be wrong, but if you got other stuff, throw it up here in the comments section, and let's all take a look at it and debate.
He was the linebacker.
But I like Ernie Sims.
Yeah,
he was.
He was the linebacker coach at
My
USF
fault.
Until 2022, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, my fault. I liked Ernie Sims as a player at Florida State. Like I said, he was a rugged. He's a guy that would get after people, undersized in my opinion, had a good NFL career, and I think he could go out and recruit guys. I mean, here's a guy that brings that NFL experience. He knows what they're looking for, and especially when we're getting some undersized guys now, he may be able to really turn that up a notch. So I like the Ernie Sims. I hope he gets promoted into that position from Papuchis.
Yeah, I don't think this is necessarily going to turn around our unit just because he's promoted, but like I said, I think it's a good transitional hire for what we can possibly get at this point. So that's the coaching news there. That's the coaching updates there. Now we got to go and talk about the transfer portal and once again, who's jumped in now. So 2 new names, 2 new offensive linemen, and to keep track, that is now we've had 3 recruited offensive linemen from the high school ranks jump in. So the first one was Mario Nash Jr., which I don't think he was on anyone's board necessarily to be in a competing starting role position this year. At least I wasn't aware of that. But he was one of those kids, one of the first to jump into the portal, or put his name out there when it kind of started. The rumbling started. But the next two, Lucas Simmons was one of the additional ones that came out this past week since our last show, and he threw his name into the ring. And I think this one was, once again, another Atkins blue chip offensive recruit. One of those guys where I think we expected him by year 3 to start contributing, and it's not happened. He was a guy that Atkins brought in. A lot of upside. The term was a lot of upside. Good, good body build, good intangibles, should be able to come in and start by year 2. And it just never happened. The guy never was able to get on the field. And once again, I got a question. People were like, well, the staff is bad. They can't, they're not getting these guys on the field. I'm telling you, if this staff thought they could play offensive linemen that were ready, these blue chip recruits, they would put them on the damn field. They don't want to go out and pay for offensive linemen. Do you think Mike Gravel wants to go pay, spend $500K on an offensive lineman and go replace 7 of them every single year when if he has these guys on the bench? No, he's going to play the guys that he thinks he can play that are eligible, can keep the quarterback upright. That's not the staff. But Alex Atkins was a prime guy, was the prime recruiter of getting all these blue chip guys that are never able to get on the field or perform once they get on the field. I mean, go look at the grades of Julian Armello this year at UCLA. He wasn't tearing it up over there. He was playing. He played, I believe, like 7 or 8 games this year for them, and it was very average. And he's 3 or 4 years in now. So maybe he could have played here, but I don't think he would have played. Once again, average to below average offensive line play, and that was one of his prize recruits. He was a hell of a recruit, Alex Atkins, but none of these guys have panned out, and it's disappointing because if we would have had 50% of them or even 40% of these guys he recruited turn out, this Florida State program would be in such a better position than it is right now because the trenches, especially on the offensive side, have been a mess throughout Mike Norvell's tenure. But talking about a guy like Lucas Simmons and what he did this year, I don't think he ever was able to get on the field. I'm just looking at PFF and how many snaps if he got on the field. I don't think he pushed for any time. Let's see here. So he was able to get on the field in 4 games, especially in the cupcake games against Texas A&M, whatever I call them, community college, Texas A&M, whatever they are, and Kent State. So he played a total of 81 snaps this season, and in those 2 games against Kent State, he had pretty good grades. Against Wake, he played 9. Against Virginia Tech, he had 6. Not bad grades, but once again, you can't really grade him on his ACC opponents. Can only play a total of 12 snaps against ACC opponents. So it's really hard to grade the curve. I don't think this is I don't think this is a guy they necessarily pushed out of the program. I think he may be trying to bet on himself, I think he may be trying to bet on himself here because I would, if I was the staff and I saw what I see potentially him 6'8", 311. I mean, that's a big offensive lineman. I would love for him to come back for the right price and try to compete for an offensive position. At least for a backup position. But I think he believes that he's going to go somewhere and start. And I don't know if he's going to find that starting position somewhere else. So I do believe this one does hurt Florida State in terms of a depth perspective, but it is disappointing because I think a lot of media members and a lot of fans were counting on Lucas Simmons being able to step into a starting role this upcoming season. And now that's definitely not the case unless they're able to come to some kind of retention agreement within the next month, within the next kind of 3 or 4 weeks here, which it could happen, but you're not going to overpay for a guy like Lucas Simmons because he just doesn't have the snaps or the metrics to prove that he's ready to step up. And this isn't a good sign to the staff either. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Lucas Simmons was the guy that had what you'd call the measurables. This guy had the wingspan as an offensive tackle, and he was a huge guy, a massive find. But what we have to understand is some offensive line coaches, a.k.a. Alex Atkins, he's one of these guys goes by the theme, fake it till you make it. And he would go out and get these massive bodies, show a few clips of them pushing around very average, below size, linemen in high school or at academies where they played, and then sell it to Mike Norvell, who signed off on it. Mike Norvell signed off on these picks. Okay, so Mike Norvell has the responsibility, and so on. But Lucas Simmons, you think, would be on starting this year, and would have got very good snaps last year at the end of the year. They wouldn't even start him at the end of the year. They knew that year was lost, and it's ridiculous. So I don't know who to blame beyond Norvell and Adkins and development of these players who have left. Nash, Hilton, Simmons, all gone, and there's been a couple others, and it transferred out last year. That whole room is devastated. It has to be totally rebuilt. And with that, hey, very special. Thank you to Jody Potter 6196. She says, thanks for great 2025 shows. Excited for 2026. So are we, Jody. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for the nice donation to the program. We appreciate that. We love that. Thank you so much. So to finish my thought is, it's a real shame. And there's no explanation. No one offers an explanation. And we'll see. Because right now, some of these guys are probably leaving because they probably got the word. They're going to go heavily on offensive linemen in the portal. We need at least five to six offensive linemen, guards, and tackles out of that portal when it opens up January the 2nd.
Yeah. And to your point, because there are still some offensive linemen in play. We talk about Sandman Thompson, who a lot of guys like at the center position. Obviously, Luke Pettibon was all ACC this year. There wasn't a lot of position for him to play. Chaz did come in, was able to play some time, played in a lot of the similar games that like Lucas did, Wake, Virginia Tech, a few snaps there. All these blowouts, essentially, right? And we expect Chaz to be able to start and compete this year for that starting role. That is the hope. You gotta hope you can, like you said, trust some of these guys, trust that some of these evaluations are going to pan out so that you don't have to go replace every single starter. But you are, to your point, going to have to go get a lot. The other one to keep in mind is a guy like Andre Otto. He has gotten a decent amount of playing time.
And he looks like he's staying. Yeah, he looks like he's going to stay and he's going to battle. And I expect him to get a starting position. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah, and he was forced into a lot of time in 2024, and it wasn't pretty, but he was playing basically as a redshirt freshman. This year, he got to take a step back, kind of be as a backup, develop. So it will be interesting to see how they recruit. Do they try to recruit over him, or do they, like you said, are they slotting him as a starter because he did take a step back as a backup this year? I would, like you said, I would hope that he is ready to step up and become a starter now.
Well, I expect they're going to do what they did last season. They're going to go out and they're going to try to get 5 proven, if that's a good word. And I think we had proven guys last year. If you look at the guys that we had up front, they had played a lot of quality snaps against quality opponents. That's what they're going to look for to put on this roster. 5 of those guys. Then they're going to go after some guys like Rizzi, okay? Where Rizzi came from the Ivy League, really smart player, wanted to get back to Florida for a final year or two, did that, and he was basically what I call the 6th guy off the bench. He came in, had some quality snaps when guys were knocked down, and so they're going to have to go out and get at least 2 of those guys, maybe guys coming out of a lower D1 or a high D2 type program that wants to show up and get some tape. And so I think that's what they're going to do, because right now the offensive line room is a disaster.
Well, it is a disaster.
Who would be the starters right now besides Otto? Who the hell would be the starter? Sandman?
It would be Sandman, potentially Jonathan Daniels would be on the line, who's another
and Otto
guy, and Otto. Okay. So it would look something like this. You would have, Jonathan Daniels spotted. He's still committed to the team. He would be a redshirt sophomore, so 3 years in the program. has kind of the same amount of snaps as like as does like a Lucas Simmons or an Andre Otto, or he has Andre Otto's more, but Andre Otto, Jonathan Daniels, you would look at someone like maybe a who we were just talking about before in Saman Thompson. So you have three guys, or sorry, so yeah, Otto, Thompson, and Daniels are three guys that you're hoping, like you said, that they're ready for starters, because that's two less starter money offensive linemen that you can slot in, where you can spend that money.
The problem is, KB, I don't believe they're ready as starters. Maybe Otto. Otto. I don't care. I don't care how many years they're in. It doesn't matter. They would have been on the field more. They would have been on the field more. I think Otto.
Point, they weren't on the field because you brought in starters. So
okay, I got you. But I don't think the coaching staff, Herb Hand and Gus, are going to rely on not knowing that. They're going to go after at least two experienced offensive tackles, proven quality offensive tackles. They need those tackles on the outside to protect their damn quarterback. And if you can't protect the quarterback, it's going to be a long damn year, because the competition of the schedule is much harder this coming season.
I wouldn't say it's
so you wouldn't what?
It's not much harder. It's about the same. But.
Well, I think it's going to be pretty challenging. Challenging enough that if you don't have the right people and doing the right things, Mike Norvell won't make it through midseason. That's how challenging it will be. So you're going to need two proven offensive tackles and I think a proven center. And then I think you can more limit with the weaker with the offensive guard position, but the center and the two offensive tackles are key.
All right. Yeah, it'll be interesting. And I think what we'll learn too about their strategy and who they can rely on from the existing talent pool versus the transfer talent pool is what kind of, like you said, what kind of offers, what kind of guys are they bringing in? Are they bringing in guys that from, P5 or, group of five or power four guys, because like you said, the guys that we just started this past season, like Gunnar Hansen, all AC All-American, all AC guy at Wake Forest. Richie Leonard, guy from Florida, had a lot of snaps. Luke Pettibon was Wake Forest. Gunnar Hansen was a Vanderbilt guy, had high marks there.
A lot of snaps.
Reliable. SEC. Adrian Medley, kind of SEC, same kind of thing. Micah Pettit, SEC. So a lot of these guys, like you said, were good conferences with experience. Where you were bringing them to start. That was clear. It will be interesting to see how many of those types of guys they do target in. Is it 5 of them? Is it 6 of them? Is like that, or do they say we're going to hone in on 2 keystone guys that are going to protect the blind side, where they focus at, and then do they say, okay, we can slot in now Andre Otto and Saman Thompson. We know we're going to rely on those guys to be our starters, and then we're going to go for some quality backups behind them. So it'll be interesting to see what Herb Hand does, because I trust his evaluations, and if he thinks that some of these guys are ready to start, then he's going to go and target guys that may be quality backups versus 5 starters. So it'll be interesting to see what those visits start to look like as we get to the second. Another offensive lineman that we'll mention, but I don't think, once again, didn't pan out, was Ty Hilton. He's another offensive lineman who was another Atkins guy, another Atkins recruit that just didn't pan out for Florida State. So he is hitting the road and will not see time at Florida State unless some change of.
He could have a change of heart. He could have a change of heart.
Yeah, he could have a change of heart. But once again, we never know if this is hey, you need to go. You're never play here, or it's better for your career if you go somewhere else, because we just don't see a future for you here. But yeah, so this was another kind of 6'4". He was a 6'4", 270 offensive lineman. That just didn't work out for Florida State, and once again didn't work out for Alice Atkins's evaluation career. So yeah, no loss on either end there. Hopefully he can find a landing spot and he can get some starting snaps at some level. Now, finally, the biggest news of the day, I would say, in terms of when we're talking about the portal, we're talking about we all you've seen on X and social media is everybody leaving Florida State. And it's true.
It's true.
We are losing a lot of guys.
We got to be in the top 5 of losing guys to the portal.
We are.
Expected losses to the portal.
Yes, correct. I think we're in the top 5 from the last stat I saw. It's like us, Auburn, I believe, Colorado. Yeah, we're up there. And I think we're above 30 plus expected right now, which we did say it was going to be like that. I mean, we had in 2024, 2025, or 2 years ago, we had like 30 plus, 33. So I think we're going to be around that number like we talked about. So not completely unexpected, but it always looks weird to see that many players losing a roster. I don't think it's the right way to build a roster, but you have to when you come off a 5-win season. But the big news that came out today was the retention of Jabril Rawls. And this isn't something that is just us or the media saying it. He has formally come out and kind of said he is coming back, and they have retained him. So, and that's the thing. Everything is just expected at this point because the portal hasn't technically opened yet, so nothing can be signed. No one can be signed to other teams and stuff like that.
Open Friday.
But yeah, so this is huge news for Florida State. We talked about that. If you're losing a lot of guys so far, but not a lot of them are playmakers. Jabril is a playmaker on this roster,
and has NFL potential written all over him.
Exactly. He's physical. He comes up to stop the run. He is one of your most physical defensive backs, and he can play sideline to sideline. He can play up. He can play on the line. He is a guy that is a difference maker for this team, and losing him it is hard because you're going to have to pay a lot of money in the portal to go win a bidding war for a guy like him. And I think there's another thing in play here is that his brother is now available or potentially going to be available, and he plays at Kansas, and he's a pretty good player too. So now this could put you in play for Jabril's brother, I believe, which could be an interesting wrinkle in this because you have a lot of defensive back spots that you're going to need to fill.
Is he in the portal, his brother?
Expected. He's supposed to be in the portal.
Right.
So he's going to be sought after. But someone correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I believe his brother is going to be joining the portal. And he's from Kansas, and he's a hell of a player. So that could be an expected wrinkle. But I think this is, when we're talking about retaining the right players, this is where the money should go. And this is a great retention strategy here. A guy, because you, like I said, this is a guy you can build around the defensive backfield. This is guys that other players would want to play around. And this shows that it's not all collapsing. You're going to have some decent players on this program. And this is a guy that knows he needs to continue his progress to show himself to the NFL. So they showed him something, money, strategy, or he believes in the coaching staff or all three, that he's willing to come back and risk his career to come back and play for this. So and no doubt they gave him a contract with a good amount of money. I bet it's $1 million plus. But yeah, but I think you had to because you lost so many defensive
He's your top defense. He's got to be your top defensive guy right now.
Absolutely.
So if you're the top defensive guy on that side of the roster, that's got to be $750 to $1 million plus.
Yeah, I would say close to around there. Correct. And based on you already losing Edwin Joseph and you were losing you had already lost a good amount of guys to the defensive backs like we
Ty Bates. You lost the guys
Ashland Barker.
Little is gone. Have we talked about Little?
No, yeah,
he's gone.
So
he's declared. Yeah,
he declared pro. So you lost another kind of linebacker, defensive back, and basically the captain of that 3-3-5 scheme. So losing Omar, Earl Little Jr. There was no good news coming out of the defensive backfield, but I think retaining Rawls gives you some momentum back. It feels like, and gives you faith that maybe you are having good conversations with other cornerstone pieces. Maybe you're having good conversations with Deuce Robinson right now, because that is another huge retention piece on the offensive side of the football.
Well, wait a minute now. You said a retention piece. He hasn't been retained yet, correct?
No. I'm saying maybe they're having those conversations. It gives you faith
that they're
having good conversations, but it gives you faith that they can close some of those deals, that they're targeting the right people to retain. Because we've seen this team retain the wrong people, a.k.a. Patrick Payton, a couple of times. So they need to evaluate and retain the right people. And I do think throwing money at Rawls is the right decision.
You have to ask yourself, why does a Rawls come back to this program? He sees the numbers going out the door. He knows the chaos that we have. So there's only a few reasons. One of them is a money bag. Okay, get paid and get paid well. That's a good reason. Two is he's played under Tony White's defense now for a season. He may like that defense now. He may feel comfortable in that defense. He can perform under this coach and under that strategy. And maybe Tony White said, listen, I'm going to use you a lot more on one-on-one on the number one receiver on any team we play, right? How do you get better visibility in that? I will challenge you, Mr. Rawls. You're going to go one-on-one just like the NFL does most of the time, and give you a chance to show the NFL what you can do.
Yeah.
Plus, Rawls was a little bit banged up last year, so that cut a little bit into his production.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a guy comes back. Otherwise, why the hell would you come back?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And this is weird.
And he was a not lowly, but slightly under the radar 3-star coming out of high school. And so you can see he has worked hard to develop himself with, let's give Patrick Surtain some credit here. He has developed, and he has a real potential to be a top 3 rounds NFL choice next year.
Yeah, I agree. He has to continue to play well and play to his potential, but absolutely, he definitely raised his stock a lot this year in a bad season for Florida State, but he made enough plays, just like Earl Little did. He raised his profile, and Earl Little, to that point, let's transition to him. He felt it was best for him to put his name out there and declare pro. And I think that it's a massive blow to Earl. I think Earl had a up and down season, but for the most part, did well for himself to get his name on more NFL scouts' radars by the way he played this past season, especially in games like the Alabama game. I thought the Alabama game was still the best game of most players. Yeah, most players on FSU team's career, but Earl Little, I think, did himself very well in the way that he played in that game. He played a complete game. He was totally physical. He saw every play, kind of felt like before it happened, and he put his name on the national radar in that game. And now I felt like, he kind of had some down performance hours after that, but he felt consistent. He wasn't perfect. He's not perfect in coverage, but he's physical. He likes to hit. He can move sideline to sideline. He's quick. He's not, I wouldn't say, an elite player, but I think he'll be drafted by
late round at best, and possibly undrafted free agent.
Well, then that's stupid in him. I think he must have had some discussion or some return, because I don't think you would go pro if you think you're going to be an undrafted free agent. I don't think that would make sense.
At best, I just said late rounds. I'm going to stay with late rounds. You saying middle round guy? I don't think so. I don't think he has the speed. I don't think he has some physicality, but a couple times he got run over, and that's going to show up. I just, in his pass defense sometimes, I think late rounds is a good number.
Yeah. I think this is the best decision for him to make? No, I think he could definitely come back and improve his stock. But that's what makes me. Well, it's not necessarily too late. You could still come back.
I guess you can declare and come back from the NFL draft as long as the draft hasn't taken place, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So this makes me think he may have gotten some type of evaluation, or once again, it could be another kind of retention play. It could say, I'm going to declare, and he could go out and get his grade, and then he could have that negotiation back with Florida State.
The bottom line is most position rooms on this roster, including defensive backs and safety, are a disaster right now. They all must be rebuilt, and when this team folds out in the spring and through the summer, you're going to see names you've never seen play at Doak Campbell Stadium before. You're going to see 22 starters, okay, that most have not played a game in Doak Campbell Stadium unless they were on the opponent.
Yeah. I mean,
that's fair.
I don't think it's going to be 22 starters. I don't think that's true. But I think there's going to be a lot of new faces that are starting. That's true. But Earl Little, I think would be smart for him. He definitely made a huge jump, as you can see in his performance. But I don't think, unless he got some promised top 4 round grade, I don't think it behooves him to go test the draft. Because like you said, I don't think he's going to get some insane draft selection.
Well, it doesn't matter. He's not on this team anymore.
He should try to. No, I get it. I get it. But if we could secure him back for a decent price, I think you would absolutely try to do that. I don't think Florida State should stop trying to pursue Earl Little because I think he fits the system correctly. Once again, he's not going to be an all-American, all-ACC first team, but he can do things for you and operate. So I think they should continue to try to pursue him.
Okay, I want one of our viewers to look it up if you can for us. If you declare for the NFL draft, can you come back to CFB? Because I think you could because you haven't signed a pro contract, right? So I don't know why you couldn't come back. Look that up and let us know in the comment if you would, and I'll put it up on the screen so we know for sure if Earl Little could still be negotiating with FSU here a little bit. Could they leverage that like they leveraged going into the portal, like Rawls did? I think Rawls leveraged Florida State's to get a better deal by jumping into the portal.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like he should have.
All right.
Yeah. So that's the update. That's the latest updates on who's jumped into the portal and what we've heard. Now, in terms of, there hasn't been, which is funny, there has been a ton of movement on who's actually going to be coming to visit Florida State. There's been some names thrown around. One of those names that's been thrown around is actually a receiver and return specialist out of Virginia Tech. His name is Tucker Holloway. I think he's announced that he'll be visiting Florida State. Not a big name in terms of performance-wise. He didn't have a lot of stats, as you can see, at Virginia Tech this past season. He's been there for 3 years. Not a huge performer. More of a special teams guy. It'll be interesting to see, maybe once again, maybe like how they did with Micah Pittman. They're bringing this guy in solely for return duties. Like, hey, we need a guy that can reliably catch the football when it's kicked to him and know what to do with it and know how to call for a fair catch when it's the right time and not give up field position, because obviously that this past year it was a disaster. So this could just be a specialist kind of offer for this kid to bring him in as an expert in the position and do the right things at the right times, because we need to improve that room. And this guy isn't obviously going to be expected to come in and be the number one wide receiver. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes of that visit. But that
kind of reminds me of that pick. Who was the guy I used to like? He used to kind of get on me about him. They got him as a return specialist a couple of seasons back. He was from the Ivy League, and he was a Florida guy. Came in as a grad. It was 1 year,
and he did nothing.
I'm just saying he never got on the field. Why would you bring a guy in like that 2 seasons ago, and the guy never got on the field? I mean, he had proven abilities at a much smaller venue, but I hope this is not the case with this guy. If you're bringing these guys in, give them a chance to play.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you understand.
This guy's proven. He's had a couple of kick return touchdowns, stuff like that. So I think this would fit a need there. The other guy that I think should be on Florida State's radar, we have a need at linebacker or an impact linebacker. We're going to have some guys coming back. We know Omar Little jumped into the portal, but you're expected, I would assume, to retain guys like Blake Nicholson. And have some stalwarts like that come back. But you still need to improve the room. You don't have an impact guy. You haven't had an impact linebacker in a while since like Bethune and Kalen DeLoach. And a guy like this who's expected to enter the portal, Rasheem Biles, it kind of fits that mold. 2-time ACC all ACC selection. This is a guy you would have to back up the truck for. This is a guy that's going to expect top tier money. He's going to probably be pursued by top tier teams. I believe he has 1 year left. This is kind of his money year. And he's going to expect some money for that year. But he also wants to showcase once again for the next level that he's ready to go there. But this is an impact player, just kind of like what you did with Luke Pettibon. You want a guy that's plug and play. This is a plug and play type of player. And if Florida State's serious and serious about winning, and Mike Norvell says we're going to fix it fast, or we got a plan in place, this would be part of my plan. Is let's go get the best player from another ACC team and let's plug him in and fill one of those holes, because this would be it. But you're going to have to pay, and you're going to be willing to have to pay at the highest level for this. So this is a guy that I think should be on Florida State's radar. I hopefully he is, but you're going to have to pitch him the right way. And I don't know what that looks like coming off a five-win season. But a lot of it's going to have to come down to money, and a lot of it's going to be who's going to be my position coach, because now you don't have a linebackers coach. So getting that person hired and understanding who you're going to be coached by, and if it is Ernie Sims, saying you're going to get coached by a former top 10 pick, I think that's a decent pitch. A guy that's been there before, a guy that's been drafted, knows how to play the position. I think that could be a good pitch. Money plus that could be a hell of a pitch. So we'll see what comes out of that. But I think, once again, getting that linebacker coach in place quickly is going to be important as you look to rebuild that positional group. Any thoughts on that?
No, I agree with you. I don't always agree with you, you know that. But I agree with everything you pretty much said there. I think it's going to be fascinating over this portal period that is so much rebuilding to do. It's going to be difficult to keep up with. I mean, I told you offline, we're going to probably be on every other day, maybe every day. I don't know, for short periods of time. There's going to be a lot of guys coming in, and they're not going to be household names. You may not know them. We're going to look at them from, like we did last time, proven production versus potential production. There's a difference, okay? And there's some guys out there. There's definitely some guys out there. I believe it's the wide receiver coming out of.
I'm not.
No, okay.
I would not be worried. I wouldn't be worried about wide receivers.
Okay.
I think we got a lot bigger issues than wide receivers.
Okay.
I
think we got a lot of issues.
Another kid in the ACC, an edge player. You need a guy on the other side of Desir that can collapse the edge. You got rid of James Williams. Get a guy with actual production like this. These are the kids they need to be targeting if they are serious about turning things around quickly. We can't go after these kids they've gone through in the past, like James Williams, or who have upside and they showed some flashes, or they went after some kids from West Virginia before who they look good in certain games and certain play. Production guys, like you were saying. These are real production guys that have experience, have impact plays, and once again, a guy like this, I don't know, is going to be the highest tier type of numbers, but once again, if you're talking about what he's done, and he's played against the ACC opponents, there's going to be a lot of guys in conference who are going to be looking to potentially break out, step up, and you may be able to get guys like this to come and play for the program. So it'll be interesting. Once again, it'll be interesting to see what the visits start to look like, because it has been surprisingly quiet. And I know probably because the portal isn't open yet, unless they're grad transfer, you can't necessarily have visits scheduled already, which does make sense. So once January 2nd happens, that's what I expect to see on January 2nd. Yeah. It's going to see a lot more of those, what the schedules visits look like on January 2nd and beyond. And they'll tell us, what is the draft strategy for Mike Norvell and the staff? Are they going premium guys? Are they going mid-tier guys? Or just trying to look for those diamonds in the rough? Because that'll tell you a lot about how they're going to rebuild this roster, and what the results may look like from there. So yeah, those are the big things. Like I said, continuing to just kind of put together the list of who Florida State may look at and what may be realistic. But there's a ton of guys available. And once again, the quarterback position continues to be the big one for Florida State. So we'll see who they bring in as well. We've already talked about 3 or 4 guys this past week, and the week before. And one interesting thing I thought, and I think you brought up this kid, the North Texas quarterback. And it looks like, and I don't know how this works, where teams are already announcing that they've agreed to contracts with players, even though the portal's not open.
I don't know how the hell. Where did you read that? That seems a little.
So once again, this is a media guy who works for one of these.
That's speculation. He's saying that.
Yeah. Obviously, he's saying it.
Well, here's what you could have. You could have an agent and a program, probably with non-disclosure agreements, verbally kind of agree to something. Yeah, that obviously goes on. I think that's going on with coaching staffs in the playoffs right now.
But this goes back to the NC State clause. The NC State clause would make him forfeit 50% of his pay if this happened. But my point for this is, okay, whatever, he signs. I think if this is true, this 2-year contract thing is the thing that is the most interesting part to this. I think we should be seeing more of this, and I would like to see more of this, is signing guys to 24-month contracts or two season contracts, enough so that you have development periods with kids. You have the ability to have a guy build some type of I don't know how to put it, but some type of
continuity.
Exactly. Continuity between him and who may be developing behind him or around him in the position group. Or recruiting strategy from high school to say, okay, we have this guy for 2 years now, a quarterback. What is going to be our strategy to then replace him after 2 years? Because if we are going to have NIL in the portal, there has to be some way to, like you said, build continuity between high school, college, JUCO, and all the ecosystems. And I'm actually surprised, if this is true, that we don't see more 2-year contracts, because one, for the player, it can lock them in probably more value for what they're getting. They can obviously probably get a bigger bag and probably bigger incentives, stuff like that. And like you said, for the coaching staff, it gives them more stability in what their roster looks like over time versus, like you said, having to backfill positions every 6 months. And obviously, if a coach gets fired, if a staff gets fired, this kid would be free from that obligation. I would assume there'd be a clause in like that. So he's not going to be locked in if the coach at Oklahoma State gets fired or does something stupid, whatever. So I honestly think this will be somewhat of the future of what NIL looks like, or these university contracts with football programs. It has to go that. It has to go that way.
You know what I look. You know what I look at is there any the legal lawsuits. Legal lawsuits have changed everything about college football, and there's still some in the mix. So what we're saying is, if we're the university, if we're Florida State, we say, hey, listen, you come with us. We want to do a 2-year deal with you. We want to do a 2-year deal. If the NCAA, which they're not, they're scared as hell. They don't do much of anything anymore. If they said, no, you can't do that, we say, well, where does it say you can't do that? It'll be challenged in court by the player, and there's enough lawyers out there to take it.
Yeah.
NCAA is not going to do anything with that. If you can sign a guy to a 1-year deal, why can't you sign a guy to a 3-year deal? And there's consequences if the guy wants to buy his way out of it, right? I mean, this is where we are. This is where the future lies. And wait till we get signing bonuses. Is signing bonus illegal? To whom? Who makes up these rules? The NCAA over many years made up rules, okay, which screwed the players in the long run. Now, don't get me wrong. This whole thing about money has changed everything. But you know what? The NCAA was the body of rules. They were challenged on many fronts in legal lawsuits, and they lost. And they are really gun-shy. They don't have the money. I don't know where they get their money from. I don't know if they get it from the universities or where. I have no clue where the NCAA gets their damn funding from. Do you?
No.
I have no clue. But I guarantee you this will happen. Somebody will sign like a 2-year deal.
Yeah. No, I think more of them should, especially, like you said, the younger guys you're taking a risk on. Especially, I think it makes sense for high school. So once again, if you're signing a big high school talent, you want to be able to keep that kid for 2 years, especially like a quarterback, running back, like a skill position player, offensive lineman, a guy that may need time to develop or have to sit a year because of competition. You want to be able to lock in a player like that, once again, for continuity, but also just so that just stability of the program, stability of the roster, and also for him so that he doesn't feel pressured like he has to make an impact year one or he may get pushed out either, so it's kind of stability for both ends. And I also too, and for the portal as well, I think it's also good for the portal because say we had signed Deuce Robinson to a 2-year deal. Okay, great. We would be solid right now. We know
you don't have to worry about it. That's exactly right.
You don't have to worry about it.
That's right.
And there's opt-out clauses if you go and if you go draft, whatever. But you would know if he doesn't go for the draft, then we know he has to come back to us because we signed him for 2 years. So I think, yeah, I'm honestly surprised you don't see more of those 2-year deals unless that source is total bullshit. And you can't do 2 years. But I don't know, to your point, why they wouldn't be able to do 2-year contracts or 3-year contracts. Unless the players are their agents are saying, no.
It's not, well, they're saying it's not to your advantage.
Exactly.
It's not to a player's advantage because if you have a all-pro, all-American year, and you're locked into some contract at $750,000, and now with that thing, they're going. You could be a first-round draft pick, NFL. You're locked into a deal. You know, they're going to want to have a buyout in some deal like that. But yeah, it locks you down. It's like a money certificate of deposit, CD. You can have it for 3 months, or you could have it for 3 years, but the rate attached. If you sign up for 3% for 3 years and the rates jump to 6, you're now tied up, or you got to pay a penalty.
If you shit the bed, you may not be able to play anwe're next year.
You're exactly right. Or if you get hurt,
ACL, you may not be playing college. You may be working in an insurance office next season. So
listen. As many of these, if you go on YouTube, there are many. Mostly college basketball coaches now, well-known guys. I sent you a couple to look at. I don't know if you've had time or not. These guys are really complaining. I mean, they're saying this thing is totally out of control. One guy goes, the rules apply to American kids coming out of high school in the basketball world about who can sign the G League, which we talked about last episode. And now they're saying, well, the same rules don't apply to the foreign kids who are going out and getting overseas. They said the thing is just, in fact, college basketball is really better than the G League. They said the guys in college basketball are making much more money than the guys in the NBA G League. Yeah. It's crazy. It is crazy. We don't need to say that. We know it's crazy. The question is, and it's going to come to fruition here very soon, is the quarterback is the number one position of need here on this football team. But to go get a quarterback, after you show him the bag of money and he asks you, who's on the offensive line? Who are the receivers? I would think a smart quarterback who kind of knows what's going on would ask those questions. We don't have those answers. We'll probably get a quarterback in here before he knows who the front line is going to be. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of the case with Tommy. I mean, they got him really early in the cycle, and I think they kind of built the line around him. So, wow. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the case, I would assume. But like I said, I don't really know what their quarterback strategy is and I haven't really heard. We've heard and we've kind of discussed who we think they should go after and who should be on the radar, but I really still don't understand how they're going to be targeting. Are they going to go high end? Or are they going to go low end? Or are they going to go mid-tier? We've talked about that they likely will go after 2 quarterbacks, one a starter and then one a backup competition, like a JUCO type of kid.
3 people competing, Sperry being the third. And you'll have one starter already penciled in. You know, last year when they brought Castellanos, well, we're having open quarterback competition.
Speaking of quarterbacks,
who the hell believes that? Who believes that?
Trevor Jackson, who remember left Florida State.
Went to Arkansas. Went to Arkansas. Trevor Jackson, we said this when he left, and we could probably go find it in a program. He needs to find a program at a different level. Okay, that could be a lower D1 or a high D2 type program to play. I think Trevor Jackson probably has some ability. I really do. But he goes to an SEC program. He couldn't play here.
Yeah,
he couldn't even get on the field here. So why
one snap in 2 seasons? Why? Yeah, like you said.
It's bad. It's bad. He needs to go to, I don't know. I always pick on JMU, but they got a pretty damn good program, now. Or Old Dominion, or App State, or something of this nature. Go to Wake Forest and compete there. You can't keep picking SEC programs. That's not going to work. Or going to the Big Ten. I mean, you're not seen in that way, Trevor. You need to pick the level.
You need to get tape. You need to get tape, and then you can go to the next level. But right now, it's going to be tough because they'll recruit guys over you.
He may die in the portal. And then have to walk on someplace and compete. He's getting very bad advice. Bad advice, in my opinion.
Just like Luke Kromenhoek. Luke Kromenhoek, if he would have stayed, probably may have been set up to be the starter this year. But he left to go to Mississippi State to be a third stringer.
Yeah. Luke
and
would
now,
compete for it, but I don't know if they put the ball in his hands for a season. I don't know.
he would be in a much better position than he is now.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these kids are getting bad advice, whether it's from a parent or an advisor or an agent.
I think most of them have agents now, because if they don't have an agent, it's not cool.
Well, sometimes their parents are their agents too. So
No, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand. No, I understand.
So
let me ask you this guy. I saw this story. DJ Lagway, the UF who expected to go into the portal, estimates on him is a $2 million quarterback. Do you see that?
Yeah, I could see that. I think a lot of guys are.
Would FSU go after him in your opinion?
Not for that much, I don't think. I don't see them spending that much on him, or potentially that much on the quarterback in general. No, I don't think they'll pursue him. I think there'll be a bidding war for him, and I don't think they want to be in on that type of bidding war for him. And I think people are bidding on potential for him, obviously. He didn't have a great 2025, and he had flashes in 2024. But I don't think he's really put it all together, and that's what people are banking on. Can he put it all together? Because he hasn't done it yet. So yeah, no, I don't think he's worth. He could be worth that, but I don't think he is yet. So it's a lot of betting on potential.
Would the Noles take Luke Kromenhoek back as number 2 to compete as number 2? Is he a Gus Malzahn quarterback?
He's athletic. Yeah, I think he's athletic enough to run it.
I think he could come back to Florida State and fans would be okay, but I don't see him as number 1.
Yeah, he would definitely not be. No, he would be in that secondary. Yeah, competing for a secondary role. But I think you kind of want more experience in that secondary role. So
and then you got O'Neal coming in as a freshman. He's not going to probably see the field much. I don't see that.
No, so I
he's
think
not that highly recruited.
For that secondary role, you're going to want to. You'd probably just rather go JUCO with a guy with some experience, just to have that in case. Because
you want a guy you want guys at positions that have been playing ball. Playing some kind of football somewhere with some quality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really where we're at.
Yeah.
If you get a guy that has high potential but is not played somewhere else, he's leaving the team because he couldn't get on the field, but you think he has high potential, you're taking a big upside risk. Unless the guy's not offering unless a guy says, you know what, I want to play for you. I haven't been on the field much here. I know I can play for you, and I'll take an NIL contract that says that I will be the starter. I get X amount. I get so many reps. I get X amount. My PFF grades or your individual university grades are this. I get X amount. Very incentive-laden contracts. They need to get creative with these contracts on guys that have no proven potential at this point. And they look like they have good potential, but they haven't been able to prove it. Give them contracts that have a lot of incentives in them. Period. That's not illegal. That's not illegal.
But it's also not enticing for that may not be.
Well,
enticing.
You know what? Then they don't come here. Christ, it's not enticing. I don't know what else you can do. You think Lucas Simmons is going to get some big ass contract? He's a big dude. He looks big. That don't mean shit.
Well, Julian
Armella doesn't mean UCLA. A guy can play.
Julian Armella got to UCLA and he had no experience. So I mean, a lot of guys are just banking on experience because there's not a ton of offensive linemen available. There really isn't. I mean,
offensive linemen are the toughest positions to recruit, even at the NFL level. Now, that's the fact. They're very hard to judge. They're finding these massive bodies. I mean, they're getting bigger and bigger. The question is, how quick do their feet move, and how quick are they agility-wise? You really need to design tests. Okay, I think all of them are fairly strong. I get that, right? But how quick can they move against a defender edge rusher? There may be something AI can do with models that shows this defensive guy from so many games against edge rusher type graphic. You know how they do that and they can make it show how quick the guy. I bet you that ability's out there someplace. But
Yeah.
the evaluations that we've seen at Florida State on the offensive line are horrible. Are horrible. These guys come in, and all we hear on the scouting reports in the FSU media rooms or programs, guys 6'7", 330 pounds. And they'll show 2 clips of him knocking some guy who weighs 170 pounds on his ass, carrying him to the bleachers. And and people are buying into this guy. Well, you can't buy in anymore. The only thing you can buy into is what's proven at this level of football against quality opponents. And we had that this year. That got us to 5 wins. Without the guys up front we wouldn't have 5 wins. And 2 of them were cupcakes.
Yep. And then the final thing I'll say about quarterbacks is that they could take the route of, for the starter, it would be a big risk, but going in on a highly recruited type of guy like Deuce Knight, and I've talked about it a number of times. But now that he's leaving, because I believe Auburn's going to be taking
they probably told
Brown
him
from USF.
Yeah.
And this kid's not going to sit away. I mean, this guy was a 5-star, 6'4", 208.
You could go all in. Yeah.
He was a highly recruited, sought
and
after
do a
type of
2-year
quarterback.
Contract, good bag money up front, good signing bonus, whatever the hell you want to call it, and then incentives.
He was, kind of compared to Cam Newton and the way he's built and the way he plays. He's a runner. He can pass the ball. Would fit into what Gus Malzahn wants to play, the type of quarterback he wants. And if Mike Norvell's going to go risk reward, you could throw a good amount of money at a guy like this and say, if you want to run the Gus Malzahn offense, let's run it with the right type of quarterback that fits the mold. And you go with a kid like this. Once again, he's going to be sought after as he was in high school. But if you're looking for the right type of quarterback to run the system, this is the kid.
How many reps did he have last season?
He only got in 2 games for them because of, he wasn't the starter.
He's unproven.
Yeah, I said that.
Okay.
But in those 2 games, he ran for 178, threw for 2 touchdowns, 259. He needs to get on the field. And what Florida State, it's if you're gonna choose between Kevin Sperry and this kid, I would go with this kid. Florida State hasn't landed a quarterback ever like this kid. And once again, if you're looking for someone who fits the Malzahn type of style of offense, it would be someone like this.
I doubt. I would be shocked if they hand the ball as a starter to a guy like Deuce Knight.
Yeah.
I think Deuce Knight is a good person to have in your program. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't see an FSU big brand name. They're going to go after some guy. They're going to go after one of the quarterbacks you had just up there that has had a lot of snaps and a lot of production.
Yeah.
May not be perfect, but has that potential like a Tommy Castellanos who's played a lot of football.
Yeah. Florida State's going to go after a safer,
They are
less beneficial, lower ceiling, and they're going to get those types of results too.
Could you get a guy like I just described and a Deuce Knight, or Deuce Knight wants to start? He wants to start.
He wants to start. He wants to start. Yeah.
Well, everybody should want to start, right?
Yeah.
But everybody's not. There's only one football, as they say.
Yeah. This would be. I mean, like I said, if they went after a kid like this, it would be very, very high risk, but potentially very, very high reward.
Champ says Knight ends up at Ole Miss. I don't know where he's getting that from. Champs, we don't know where you're getting that report from. Drop it in the comments here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's going to land somewhere high, a good program, and it will be.
No, I'm sure he will.
Interesting to figure out where he does. Like you said, Florida State likely won't, because Mike Norvell's going to go after a safe choice.
University of Florida is looking for a quarterback, right? They could go after the guy. Yeah. Unless Lagway's probably trying to leverage them a little bit, right? If he gets too,
no,
you don't think so?
You
think he's done in Florida?
We talked about this. The coach interaction did not go well, so I think they're both going after in different.
$2 million can solve a lot of interaction.
No, it doesn't. If you don't like the person you're working for and you don't think they're going to develop you the right way, the way you see you going to the next level, then
fair enough. Fair enough.
You really get that money somewhere else.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I think that's it right now. Obviously, we'll
Yeah.
have a lot to talk about in the next coming days. So yeah, I have nothing else on my end to bring up. Anything else on your end?
I think you covered everything. I mean, we talked about two quarterbacks that could end up here, and we don't need to go through them again, but just to mention their names again, Old Dominion, Colton Joseph. We keep seeing that, as they say in the intelligence world, chatter. We see a lot of chatter around Colton Joseph, which you could probably get him under $1 million, I suspect, or maybe not. And then you have Anthony Calandria from UNLV. A lot of chatter about those two. Do you believe most of the quarterbacks, the top 10 quarterbacks in the portal, will be gone by the end of the first 7 days of the portal?
Yeah, I think most of these guys have
Do
destinations.
you think they have verbal deals in place now?
Not verbal deals. I think they probably have top 3 destinations, and they'll visit potentially.
Okay, they'll visit, talk
a couple of these
coaches.
guys, like Byron Brown, probably is already committed to Auburn or has something signed there. I think Josh Hoover, they're saying, is going to Indiana, so that is probably maybe already getting locked up. So yeah, I think a couple of these guys maybe have soft signed, and a couple of these will now set up visits. But yeah, I mean, Florida State, if what you're saying is likely true, is not even looking in the top 10 quarterbacks. They're going to play safe. They're going to go cheap, and they're going to go after one of these guys who is lower risk but lower reward. And that's what you should expect from the season, I think, in 2026.
Yeah, they may be thinking, we want to find a quarterback that can get 6 or 7 wins. Now,
yeah, that's sad.
Most fans aren't going to like that or think that's trash. I don't even think coaching staffs. I don't think Mike Norvell, as a coach of any level, thinks, I just want to win 6 or 7 games. The reality is that there's so much construction on this football roster, it may be the best to hope for. And they just want to get a quarterback without paying $3 to $5 million. You're not competing. You're really not competing for a national championship. You're not competing for playoffs unless you win the ACC, which, who knows? You could be like a Duke and get there, 7-5. You could be in the ACC championship, right?
Well, the issue is
that's
that
possible.
He should be competing for his job, but he has no incentive to compete for his job, because if he gets fired, he gets more money than he gets in his life.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with you on that.
I do agree with myself on that, but
I don't think any coach, and you've coached some, you and I have done some lower level coaching. I don't think you ever go in thinking, I don't want to win. I don't think I go think, I'm always thinking about winning.
He's not trying to lose, but it's
embarrassing to lose.
He should be taking every risk that he can. In my opinion, at this point, if you basically put this program into the ground, you should be trying to get every edge, or taking the risks that you need to take turn this thing around quickly. Getting a quarterback like this is a safe move. This is super safe. This is, once again, going to 5 or 6 wins. That's not saving your job. That is not saying, I brought this program back type of decision. That's the issue I have with it. So if he goes and signs one of these guys and says, okay, look what I did, look what we're building, that's not showing me that you're trying to turn this around, that you're trying to build this back better and really turn this around quickly. That is just a safe choice, and that doesn't show me anything from Mike Norvell and what he's trying to build. And once again,
fair enough.
So that's yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, listen, the last thing to say, there is a playoff game on tonight, and that is, how do you do that? The UM, we do it like this, but the UM is on tonight. I don't know, what time's that game? They're playing
7:30.
Who the hell are they playing? Ohio State?
Yep.
Oh, man. So, who do you take in this game? Who do you take as our final segment here? Who do you take in this ball game tonight? Forget the spread. Forget betting spreads and all that.
I want to take Ohio State, but based on how they played against Indiana, I really don't know. I mean, Miami's playing better at this point in the season, I feel like. Defensively, Miami's been playing pretty good football. and Ohio State, I guess Ohio State didn't play that bad against Indiana. I just thought Ohio State would beat Indiana, and they didn't.
Hell no. They lost on the last second tiptoe on the end zone. That's how Ohio State lost.
And they couldn't score any points. But also, in regards to Miami, they obviously haven't played a lot of great teams this year. In terms of the back half of the season, they beat A&M, they beat Notre Dame, but they really haven't had to face anyone tough the last 7-8 weeks of the season. So that's the interesting part. This will be like their first tough game in almost 2 or 3 months. So it's interesting to see, are Miami pretenders or are they contenders? This will be the proving point for them to see if they actually can do something.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Ohio State, but I think it'll be close. I do think it'll be a very, very close game because I do think both teams are talented. Even as much as I hate Miami, I think they've constructed a very good roster. But I think Ohio State still has some of that edge. Now they've lost some coaches, right? I don't know if Hartline's still with them for this. Obviously, he's with USF now.
He is still with them.
But there's got to be some distraction on his end. It's not easy doing 2 jobs at the same time, especially with the portal opening up and recruiting.
Yeah, but he knows what he wants. I think he'll be fine. Listen, I'm going to take Ohio State. I think it's going to be too much for Miami. I'm going to be very interesting to see how Miami handles the defensive pressure being brought by the Buckeyes. I think if Miami's offensive line can control that pressure, not only opening up running lanes for Fletcher, who's a pretty damn good back, and Miami wants to control the football. They want to control the football. They have an experienced quarterback, Beck, and Beck doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
Wow.
I think they could stay in this game, but I think Ohio State will win in the end because I think their 2 wide receivers are going to really show up tonight. And I think it's going to be an entertaining game for people to watch. I don't know what time it is. Do you know what time it is? 8.
I literally had on
7:30. And where's the game at?
It's at Goodyear.
Is it outside?
Stadium.
I don't know what the weather is.
It's in Texas. It's in Arlington, Texas. So
it's in Texas. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it should. I believe that's inside, right? I think the Cotton Bowl's inside.
No, Cotton Bowl's outside.
No,
that's been outside.
Stadium.
Oh, it's in the stadium in Dallas with the Cowboys? With the Cowboys play? Oh, okay. Years ago, it was always outside. Yeah. The bad weather game tomorrow is supposed to be at the Rose Bowl. That weather could be messy, wet from what I'm hearing. So that should be – I don't like to see a messy, wet game. Anything can happen. But watch out for the weather there if you're putting down any bets. Check the weather conditions before you do that. My last point, and then I'm done. I bet on the Florida State Seminoles basketball team last night. I took UNC minus 12. They won by, I think, 13. My betting for the year is done. I have $3 left out of my 50. So, but let me say this. Luke Laux and Seminole basketball really played high energy, pretty good defense. A little inconsistent on the outside shots. They got beat up down low by their UNC's guys like 7'4", and he was just dunking the ball. But they played a lot better than I thought, and I wish them well in the ACC play.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that is it for us. We hope you guys had a great 2025. Obviously, not football-wise, but a great personal 2025. And we hope you guys have a great New Year's. Tonight, stay safe out there. Stay off the streets if you can. Be safe, yeah. Be safe, guys.
Use Uber or Lyft. Don't drive after you've been drinking. It's not worth it.
Or just walk.
Or walk.
And call town. Yeah. But yeah, guys, have a great one out there. We will see you guys in the new year. I'll have to update the intro song somehow, so we'll figure that out. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the new year.
And thanks to everyone. If you're new here to our program, join our family of viewers here. We love you guys. And everybody's welcome here. We try to get all your comments as much as possible. The phone line's coming back in 2026, and we're just going to have some fun during a very chaotic situation. So we may see you every day here for a while. So you'll see us. Hit the subscribe and hit the bell. You'll know when we're going to be on.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you guys again. Have a great New Year's night. and stay safe. And as always, go Noles, go Noles. Take care.
Go Noles.
We will see you guys very, very soon.
Seminoles sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Every yard we take